Hello and welcome to The Creative Process, where we take a look behind the scenes of what it takes to create things such as comic books and different projects to help them come to life. I am your host, Mr. Andersin. The Creative Process is brought to you by Sinsful Comics LLC and promoted by WrittenSiNs.com. So today's topic is how you're using Facebook wrong. And using So here's the basic idea that I've been running around with for the last couple of months. And you guys know I covered this a lot last year. Facebook has become a very monetized site. And as a knee-jerk reaction, I didn't like that. And it wasn't that I didn't like it just for me. I didn't like it for what it was doing. Facebook makes money off of people. But in the end of the day, it is a company that is built to make profits. And to stay current and to stay active, they do the things they do. There is no other platform like Facebook. So we're not going to spend any more time bitching about them. I'm just going to tell you the cold, hard reality of what's going on with Facebook, and you guys can do things with it. Now, Josh Stahl was a person who I'm going to give a lot of credit, and he runs Make Better Comics, which you guys can see right here. He had made the comment that no one was really talking in Facebook groups, and that he would be willing to pay for Facebook for it to be able to have the privilege to be able to reach so many people. And it is, in that regard, a privilege. We do get to meet and reach a lot of people we couldn't meet without social media. So how do you beat social media nowadays? How does me, Josh Stahl, and all the creators are figuring out a way in 2018? Well, one of the things that we're learning quickly is the fact that you can no longer simply share things. Sharing doesn't work the same way. Facebook has come out and actually said it. We've talked about it for a few nights now, and we're actually in our group right here. And you guys can see in our group in just a few seconds that there is actually a topic going around all about the fact that you can no longer use Facebook for basically a business or an art page the way that you used to. It is being dismantled, and I don't know why it disappeared, but it's actually not in here anymore. There was an article here from MR Andersin, which was talking deliberately about this, which it's weird it's missing now. But so basically the idea is that Facebook wants to shrink. It wants to get rid of all the nonsense. It wants to cut out a lot of the political stuff, a lot of the news. It basically it wants to stop being a provider of content that it has no control over. And I know that sounds weird because that's what Facebook is. But in the end, Facebook was really about people interacting with each other, not necessarily promoting themselves. And I think over time, people got used to the idea of this site, Facebook, being something to be used to promote oneself. But that's not what they want. This is their business plan right now. They don't want businesses putting all their content in there. So you're going to have to look at social media in a much different way in 2018. You cannot look at it as free advertisement. It is no longer your way to put your projects in different groups. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, how you put your stuff out there. It's no longer about that. I'm sorry. The game has changed. You either adapt or you die. And that's where we're at. So what does that mean? If you can't share things, if you can't overpost things, how are you going to get your Kickstarter funded? How are you going to get supported people? And I mean, it really comes down to the simple truth. You got to meet people. You got to interact with people. You got to be a people person. You got to promote yourself by being yourself. And how crazy an idea is that? It's not about these shiny things, and it's not about cool graphics as much as it was in the past. Now it's going to be about giving content. It's no longer about building yourself an ad to share all over. Instead, it's kind of like what Kevin did. It's about giving a zany moment. It's about giving something interesting that people might not necessarily see about you. And I'm not saying that you can't post things in my group because of this, but there are groups that are very stringent upon that. And even Facebook is cracking down on that. Perfect example, posting art. That's a great way to get people to be a fan of you. They're going to want to follow you. Doing live videos. These are things you're going to want to move forward to. Do something new. One thing that a lot of people screw up, and this is the truth, you don't give away for people to interact with you. Perfect example. I posted this, right? I was very proud of us doing this, and it's in my group, and I posted it, but where am I asking anyone anything? I didn't ask anyone if they want to be part of this. I just posted that we have a Creators Alley. I should have put up in here, right over here, and I'm going to fix it now since we're here anyway. We're going to let it open. I should have put something to this regard. Who would like a table in Creators Alley? See, now I've made it something. Now I just haven't shared something where someone goes by it and they like it, and that's just it. That's the end. Okay. Oh, I see it now. Yeah, Rob's doing this. Cool. Cool. How does it affect me? And not everyone's going to take that step. Not everyone's going to realize that I meant this as an invitation. And that's what we got to start looking at. We got to start looking at, you know, taking that step. Like, perfect example, Russell Dickens. He said, "Who's ever in charge, please IM me." Now, on the top of our page, we actually have a message system. This is laziness on all of our parts. I'm not pointing out Russell. I'll take blame too. I have done this. We post things. We don't contact the right people. We're forgetting to take those steps of getting to know the right people, to talk with them. We treat social media cheaply and wonder why it's received cheaply. We have to take stock in the things we've done. And I've made a lot of mistakes since I started WrittenSiNs, and since we did. I used to bombard sites with things. And we'll go into that right now, actually. We're going to jump over to Russell's group, authors and creators making money selling books. Russell came up today and he put a post about stop adding people to Facebook groups. It's not just annoying, it's bad for business. The Complete Creative by Russell Notte. Russell is completely right. Dan, I do see you, and yes, I will reach out to you, Dan, and we'll talk about getting you a table. He's right. I don't add anyone to the group. I've always invited and encouraged people to come to the group, so it's a backdoor for our website. But I can't tell you how many groups I'm added to, and I used to have this bad habit of, if you invited me to a group, I would put all of my stuff in your group, and I didn't care if it upset you because you put me in a group without my permission, so obviously you wanted my stuff. So, I mean, if you're putting me in places without my permission, why should I care about what I put my stuff, which I'm trying to help people. I'm genuinely trying to help people and getting that message out there. And what I wound up doing, and I have to take ownership of this, is I kind of caused myself to get noticed by Facebook as someone who's putting out spam. Now, arguably, I don't think anything I did was spam, but from their point of view, I put a lot of content on Facebook in 2017, but not a lot of, well, on my own page, on my own group. I spent a lot of time cultivating relationships. That actually wound up helping me get through the Facebook shutdown, believe it or not. We've been able to sustain or balance it. I think I'm using sustain wrong. We've been able to balance a way of having the same amount of viewership as we did when we were sharing things on Facebook without ever sharing. Now, we did this very quickly as a business plan. We looked at it and we said, okay, if we can't share with Facebook, what can we do? How do we get around it? One of the things that we did, we started an Instagram site. We'd only have 50 followers. I think I'm up to 150, 200 followers on it. So we have 200 followers on Instagram, but those 200 are more dedicated, it seems, than a lot of the Facebook people we had. So Instagram has opened up an avenue that we weren't using originally. We had it, we just didn't use it. We've been able to go back into Twitter and do some Twitter live videos, which has helped increase an audience. We've been doing Kickstarter talk on our actual platform of Kickstarter, and that has actually opened up an avenue of people who've become more loyal to us. What we did is we made our content more powerful. We made content that people wanted. I wasn't just giving them threads anymore. I tell you every night on WSN News what to come and see. I don't shove down your throat 7 or 8 different threads a day. The threads from the site that I share on my page are ones that I'm excited about, and I do it as I would be a fan. I wish I could share every one of them. It's not possible. I do the ones that I think have the most value, either for my fandom or for myself. Some of them are my own posts. And that's how you have to look at this going forward. Value. What are you bringing to the conversation? You can't just throw your ads on Facebook anymore. It's just not about putting anything in every group that'll let you. Here's a great example for Kickstarter. The best way to get my Kickstarters funded, the last 3 Kickstarters, once Facebook started changing the game, was honestly the live video, talking about the project, being very active about it, being very vocal and honest, because we were dealing with a lot of censorship with the last Fetish Babies book. And a lot of people got real supportive behind the scenes to me. And actually, people donated money for that just to help me because of the censorship. And I don't know if that's necessarily what I would want. I wanted people to back it because they wanted to. But it was powerful because I was being honest about it and I was giving content. I wasn't just aimlessly throwing out ads and hoping someone would hit it. The videos have been a great thing. Doing videos, going to Instagram, being more active with people. I have a lot more conversations with people now. I actually do a lot of talking. And by doing a lot of talking, I notice that when I'm speaking to people, other people are invited in. And sometimes you get some trolls, but for the most part, it's been pretty positive. And we have great conversations. And those conversations translate to more views, more people being interested in me and the product of WrittenSiNs. And by default, the products that I promote on WrittenSiNs, which is indie creators in the indie comic market. So I figured out that one of the most powerful things that you can do is to actually become yourself and to embrace that and don't embrace the share button. I, in 2017, thought it was all about sharing. Sharing was more important. I don't think that way anymore. I don't think sharing is important. I think being vocal and honest is most important. What are you into? How are you representing your fandom and yourself? If you're a fan of someone, why aren't you talking about it more? I've always treated WrittenSiNs as a place where you guys post something and then I come put it up in I go and I'll post it up into the site, and that's good. Oh, here it is. Actually, I don't know why it showed back up, but there it is. You can honestly say that WrittenSiNs, the group, will get you noticed, but what it doesn't do is provoke conversations enough. And I've begun to change that. I want to know what you guys want. I want to learn more, not just for myself as a creator, but also for the guy who runs WrittenSiNs. And I want to know how we can better prepare you guys for things and how we can better move forward together. And part of that's going to be knowing how to navigate social media. And by making this group more interactive, we're all going to get noticed more. And that's kind of one of my plans. But you see what I'm doing? I'm no longer talking about maximizing my reach. I'm talking about maximizing my footprint and how people see me and what they think about me. It's not, wow, Rob's always posting something about indie comics. You know, look at all the things he posts. Now it's, wow, look at what Rob is talking about. Look at how he talks about, look, he's always bringing up things for us to debate. We're always talking about things. And he's always talking about what's on WrittenSiNs on his videos. He doesn't shove 20 threads down my throat daily. He instead brings us a video once a night called WSN News, where he talks about everything on the site. He advertises in a unique fashion that doesn't make like it feels like he's advertising anything, but instead he's giving me information. And that's what you need to do. You need to stop selling people things, and you need to start motivating people to want your product. It's a different mind frame, especially on social media. And granted, you still do things like this. You still make the How Zombies Will End, and you absolutely still put it on WrittenSiNs. But you also put something there that you can engage in, like Gary Scott. Great guy. Zombies End is on Kickstarter. The end is stranger than you think. That's an awesome tagline, but why would I comment on this thread now? We got to find a way to get that. You know, what if he said, what if Gary Scott here had said, Zombies End is now on Kickstarter. The end is stranger than you think. Tell me what your favorite zombie movie was. And by adding that question at the end, he's now interacting with people. So then, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to answer, oh, my favorite zombie movie. Wow. Let me think. What was my favorite zombie movie? I'd go with Shaun of the Dead. So now I'm going to put Shaun of the Dead, my favorite zombie movie. And it is. That's the truth. So now other people are going to see I commented in a group, and they're going to read what I'm talking about. You know, Rob answered this in your notifications. You're like, wait a minute, I like zombies. And you're going to come make a comment. Now suddenly we're having a conversation. We're getting to know each other. We're talking about a product. And the whole time, every time someone's coming here, they're seeing Gary Scott Betty's Zombies End, which is now on Kickstarter. You're advertising it without shoving it down people's throat. You're having people interact with it without making it obnoxious. And let me tell you guys, I went through all my groups today. Well, I went through all the groups that I partake in, and I constantly am added to new groups. It's funny, I got suspended one day from joining groups from Facebook because apparently that day people had added me to 100 groups. There must have been someone who went around adding me to like literally a whole bunch of groups in one day, and Facebook thought I was trying to join it. It was crazy, and I didn't bother because Facebook never gets back to you, just the truth. But I was dumbfounded because there were these groups that made no sense for me to be in. And that's a very insulting thing because now I'll never forget those groups, and I'll never forget the person who did it. And I didn't unfriend that person. Ironically, they unfriended me later because obviously they were just using me and didn't like that I wasn't going along with their agenda. But you don't forget those moments. So don't add people to your group. Try to encourage people to your groups or your pages, but don't force anyone to it. Melissa made a comment. She says, let me see. I'm just looking at the comments right now. And it also makes the post jump to the top, thus creating more conversation. Exactly. When you're interacting in a group, for those who don't know, when you make a comment, it switches where it is in a group. So, and you guys could see that I put in this mixed match wrestling thing because I thought it was cool and I didn't know if you guys knew about it. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Because it wasn't just about content, it was something cool. And I'm okay with that. If it's something cool, share it with the group. But also be mindful of how much you're sharing, how much you're putting in, and don't bump your thread. And what bump your thread means is, okay, here goes Gary, and Gary comes in here and he says, Trump sounds, milestone freebies at Zombie Ends, my brand new Kickstarter, full of colors, brand new, full color. Today's the day, get yourself over and pledge now. Once again, he didn't open the conversation. We don't have a way to communicate with him. We can just say, that's cool, dude, and we can hit the like button. But that's not what Facebook wants anymore. They want people interacting, and that interacting is going to be a score, and that score is going to help you reach further. Keep that in mind. You're now going to be graded on how often people interact with your threads. That is something to be mindful of. So you want to invite people to have a conversation. And if you're not inviting people to have a conversation, you're not going to get that score you want to get a bigger audience. So he needs to put a question here. We all need to put a question. Anytime you post something, you need to have a way of interaction to occur. And that is something to keep in mind. So here we go. I have nothing to say to Gary, but let's just say I go, because it's not a lot I can say, I go, oh, cool, Gary. And there's not going to be a lot of conversation beyond, oh, cool, Gary. But now that I've done that, this will pop up to the very top the next time I visit the group. And it'll take over right here where we recently fixed the name because we had a letter off. But that's what's going to wind up happening. So that's a great point, Melissa. Thank you for making it. But don't bump. Bumping a thread is when you start making comments just to keep it above, and you're going to piss people off. And that's something to be mindful of, and something like going back to the very beginning of the video when I said people would add me to groups and I would act any way I wanted to and not follow the group rules because I thought if you're going to add me to a group, why should I follow your rules? And granted, there's some truth to that. There is an honest truth to, fuck all that if you're not going to take me serious. But there's also still me acting like an asshole and looking like a fool. And that's something you want to be mindful of. I didn't mean to be that way, but if I'm going to go back and look at it now, I'm going to have to admit that's me. That's me being a bad person and not being a good person. If I didn't want to be in those groups, I'm an adult, I could have unjoined those groups. That simple. Or I could have asked someone, why did you just add me to this group? What value does it have? Why are you adding me to the group? That's how you handle things as an adult. So I also, and we've talked a lot about this, in 2018, I really want WrittenSiNs to talk about professionalism more. And that's what being a professional is. It's keeping it right. It's always being cool. It's always doing things the right way, not the easy way, and not the way your ego wants you to do it. And that's just the truth. It's all about talking to people right, and it's all about being reachable. If someone tells you, hey, that's not how we do things in this group, understand it, respect it, and if it doesn't fit your MO, leave the group. Do not have an argument with them. Now, with that all said, I will go over here and I'll show you my groups. And I'm not going to call any groups out. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to do anything crazy. Don't worry. But I'm going to look at the groups page. And I looked at the groups page today, and here are some more pending invites. And I've been invited to this. And now what's funny is that this says pending invites, but I've already been added. If you look at their membership, I'm now a member. So, and Russell had mentioned this, that there is no way to invite a person. So it's not really inviting a person that is making them join or adding a member. That instantly puts them in your roles. So with that in mind, do not add people. There is a way through the background, and I can actually show it to you through my group on how to properly do it. So what you want to do, if you're on your phone or whatever have you, there's a way here that should say, I think it's not the easiest thing to find, I'll be honest with you. I actually always have trouble locating it when I'm looking for it. But I always find it when I look. Okay, share group. It's right there in front of my face. Actually, this case, it's not so hard. So here's a way that you can share a group this way. Now, if you go into the further settings, there is a way to share the group. I believe it's on your mobile phone. It's in Manage Group, I believe. And in the Manage Group, there's an option where you can actually share the group into people's instant messages, which do not do this. And I made a mistake recently, and I honestly, this was a mistake because my phone froze on me. I was trying to invite people to an event that I had last weekend, and it sent it out all at once instead of, because the app froze and it just sent out a blast. Don't send out blast things. Do your best to avoid that. And what I mean by a blast is 50 people in one thread. So anytime someone makes a comment, everyone's annoyed by it. You send one message to someone, they look at it, they forget it, they're not going to be mad at you. Oh, Rob just let me know he's having an event. Cool. But if you attach them to a group with 50 people, and as 50 people leave the conversation, you get a notification. When 50 people say something, you get a notification. You're, once again, not interacting with anyone. You're making people part of a conversation they don't want to be in, going back to the whole, making someone want to talk to you versus shutting down. You're causing them to shut down. Be gracious. Treat people how you want to be treated. Always put yourself in their shoes before you do things. And if you don't know if it's a good idea, take a minute and go ask people. That's all you can do. And that's going to be the best way to go forward. But as we were talking about the different groups, so here we are. We got, these are all the groups. These are groups I manage. These are my groups. Now, look at how many groups there are that I'm part of. And it just goes and goes and goes. And I can honestly tell you that probably 70% of these groups I did not join. These have been people who have added me to a group, and I have no hatred towards anyone, but this just continues to go. So now when I legitimately want to come here and post something in a group because I find it to be poignant, if I want to talk about New York Comic Con and how I'm coming and I want to give a preview, hey guys, I'm coming to New York Comic Con this year, I'm planning to, this is what I'm going to be bringing, what would you guys want me to do? And I want to interact with that. Look at how much I got to scroll through. It's just, it's enormous, and we're not done yet. And this is continuous. Remember, I told you 100 groups. I mean, what the hell is Oasis Paradise Getaway? I don't even know. Oh, I know what that is. That's actually for Fetish Babies. That one actually makes sense. They must have changed the name. But that one makes sense. But the wooden puzzle, I didn't do the wooden puzzle, and I don't even know who added me. But now I'm part of the wooden puzzle. What the hell is the wooden puzzle? And I do this like every month where I come in here, and I used to try to delete them. It was too much trouble. And because I'm not sharing a lot these days, everything E, what the hell is everything E? And it continues and it goes on and it goes on. And you see, now we're finally at the end of the list. How much was that? You know what I'm saying? Don't do this to people. People want good content. And you guys saw at the top, I have favorites. And I try to keep track of the groups that I find the most interaction in. And I want to be part of groups. And here's another great comic book group, by the way. I Make Comic Books. This is by Martin Dunn. If you guys want, and this is a great example of it. I Make Comic Books. You have Martin Dunn, who actually talks about these amazing different things. And it's not just about the it's not just about their individual products, but it's about how to make things. And sometimes here's the thing, people kind of argue, well, I want original content. When people spam their books and they just talk about their books, I don't get to see what I want to see. And I get that. You want to put your footprint at somewhere? Cool, do that. Put your footprint somewhere, but don't do more than one thread a week into someone's group. Make that an ongoing goal of yours to no longer put a thread in a person's group more than once a week. Limit yourself to once a week. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're bombarding a group with the same content day in and day out, you're going to be removed from the group, or you're going to ostracize people, and you're going to become noise. For a time in 2017, that happened to us. We became sort of a noise site. And I didn't want to be a noise site. And while I was bitching at Facebook, I had to take a long look at us. And I don't like what Facebook did with monetizing, but we were also misusing it. So this is kind of an effect of us misusing it. So don't be that person who decides a group that isn't yours is yours. Now, on that same pattern of thought, I will say this. There are groups out there who are ridiculous. They make names of groups, and then they get a bunch of people to join, and then they get pissed at you when you post something that is exactly like Indie Comic Book Biz. I'm going to use this as an example, and I can tell you the reason I'm using them as an example is I've never had an issue with this site. I think this site is friendly to creators, so this is a good site. But with that in mind, with Indie Comic Buzz, imagine if you suddenly came here to post something about indie comics and they're like, what are you doing? We only let people post about Batman. And that happens a lot on Facebook. And it's ridiculous. It is very ridiculous. But when you find a group like that, do the right thing. Look, right here. See this little join button? If you actually go over here, leave group. Leave the group, because I want to stress this, guys. Some people are joining a group because they see so many members and they think they're going to have an audience. I made that mistake. I was like, wow, this has 3,950 groups. Everything I post in here is going to get 3,950 views, right? Right? Do yourself a favor. Take a walk down. See if anyone's liking anything in the group. See if anyone's even interacting. Look at that. No one's making a comment in these threads. What's going on? And once again, we'll go back to my network and we'll look at the insights. And this is something that I began to notice, and I'm trying to see where the insights are. These are my notifications. And these are things that you have to, I think I have to go back here to actually see. Oh, they're there, group insights right here. And it's because I look at it on my phone. I don't know it this way. Okay, so here we go. In our group insights, we've had 15 new members. That's 88% than we've gotten in the last 28 days, which means the way that I've been doing things have been better. I've been improving. And this is something you guys have to start looking into, the analytics of what you're doing. Analytics are basically a report based on your up, your down, your views, what's going on, who's watching you, content. So if you're running a website, you need to be on your analytics. You need to be paying attention to your views. And you need to be seeing what works and doesn't work. With that in mind, we have gotten 15 new members. Great, 88% change last 28 days. And the comments and reaction have gone up by 27%. That's a victory to me. That means we're finally doing something and stepping into the conversation in a different way. We're actually inviting people to have a conversation. This is what you want to do, meaningful content. And you guys can see behind it, we have 956 members. And now notice right here, we kind of took a hit. A couple people left our group, apparently. I think this is members. Yeah, this is members. A couple people left our group. And I know who they are. I know why they left. And it wasn't by choice. And I'll leave it at that. Let's just put it this way. We're not going to let people put ads on our site about things that are inappropriate or have nothing to do with any comics. And I'd asked them nicely and they didn't listen and they're no longer with us. And we'll move on from that. You guys can see there's a spike here, and you can start watching that, watching that, watching that. But this is all changing, and these are things you have to pay attention to. And right over here, we had 940, and you see that huge jump. This is as I changed the way that we did business. This is all it. I didn't pay attention to this, and you have to pay attention to what's working. And sometimes you're going to get rid of the wrong people, and that's a good thing. And I can't stress to you guys enough, don't worry about losing the wrong people. Always lose the wrong people. The wrong people shouldn't be around you. So that's social media now. If you take anything away from this, because I know we talked about a lot of stuff, I want you to read what Russell said about not adding. I want you to pay attention to making comic books better. And I want you to listen to the people around you as they're talking about content having to be more powerful this year. We're getting past the point of a tweet, and that's a great thing. But that also means that we can't just be simple ads. And simple ads can work a little bit. Here's a perfect example. We've only talked about Facebook this entire time that we've been on here, but we're going to finally jump on to the best site in the world, WrittenSiNs.com. And the reason we're going to jump onto this site real quick, which is a beautiful site, if I do say so myself, is for this simple reason. This week in indie comics. And I want to show you guys a basic idea of how we've improved. Every night I read these things off. What's in this week in comic books? And if you guys have noticed in the last couple of months, I have made the titles a lot more poignant. They're no longer cheap. They're crafted better. Comic-Con billboard for TAX, Texas. Davy Jones will be in Victoria, Texas at the Victoria Comic-Con. I'm giving information. Support Kickstarters only takes $1, but that's all I had to say because that's exactly what it was. Time to give last rites to these Kickstarters as their time runs out and help them launch. This is issue 3, Villains, Globalist, and Hitwoman. And we started giving a title so people knew that they weren't seeing necessarily last week's episode again. This is what we're doing. You know, we're adding the billboards. See, now the billboards are great things, and we're calling these billboards, by the way, the little placards for the highway. They're billboards. They give a lot of information. But on this show, I'm also supposed to encourage you to look at the information on the site because the way that you come to the site, and you guys can see, I have spikes. We're always paying attention to the different spikes. We had a 24-person spike recently. So that's kind of awesome. We had 24 people just show up to the site within the last hour and look at our stuff. And I'm always paying attention to the analytics. I see it even goes as deep as to see who's using what browser, who's using what type of phone, what's the resolution they're looking at. These are things I'm studying. And I need to stress to you guys, for those operating a website or those who want a better digital footprint, you need to pay attention to that. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if I don't have a website? I'll quickly talk about this. So let's go to my page. It's my personal page. I don't believe that they have any insights on their page yet. You can use it. You can view your activity log. I don't know if the activity log actually has anything of gigantic importance. No, so it doesn't have anything. So right now, it will not give you information outside of the basics of your profile. So cool. So how do I know what people are interacting with? You see those comments? That's how I know. You see when people like things? That's how I know. This is exactly how you know. And you guys can see views pop up here. Different things show up. 31 views for last night, WSN News. That's how I know people are paying attention. So I pay attention to the comments, and I encourage people to make comments. You guys have it in you to understand how to interact with people. And you have to keep that in mind on social media. And you can't win everyone. Your goal is not to make everyone a fan of you. Your goal is to find your fans and to appreciate them and do the best you can by them. And then the rest will come out on its own. You know, I don't know why I did a Kirk thing there, but it will. You give people a chance to get to know you, and your fans will grow to admire you, and that's what you want. And admiring you takes doing things the right way, even if they're harder. Don't take shortcuts. Don't oversaturate the market. and be more approachable and make your content more important. And by important, you want to be able to give people an opportunity to express themselves in a conversation. That's right. If you actually let them talk, they'll have more respect for you because you're listening to their points of view. Does that make sense? Because, you know, you want to be able to do that. And, oh, let's see. Frank James said, what if you're not an artist and you just write, but your fans come up with some amazing art? You share it. And share your books. And let me tell you, your book is art. If you're a writer and you have a book, put your cover there. That's your art. Your artist brought something to life through your words. So that art is still your art. Give credit to your artist, of course, nod your head to the artist who brought the art to life, but feel free to share their art because it's your project as well. That's your job. See, and here was a perfect opportunity. Frank has now talked about it. We're now interacting. And I said, share and share books. And now he knows he can put his books there. So now there's going to be a bigger conversation between me and him. People are going to see it, join in on it, get excited. Are you guys getting it? It's about interaction. Become more approachable. That is how you're going to succeed in 2018. Worry less about the share button. Worry more about the comment section. How are you interacting this year? How are you getting your message across by reaching out to people and being in a conversation with people constantly? That conversation is going to do a lot more for you, being a conversationalist with other creators and people around, than posting 1,000 bland, or not bland, I won't say bland, it could be exciting. We'll even go with exciting. Posting 1,000 exciting dead-end threads that go to groups that no one's checking out anymore because all they are is soft token, beautifully, maybe exciting ads that are repetitive and there's no content. People want to be engaged. They don't want to be talked down to. That's why we no longer have ads on Hulu if you pay extra for it, which I do because I don't want to sit through ads. We've gotten to that point in society. We're tired of ads. Stop making them. This has been a production of the WrittenSiNs and Sinsful Comics Network. I am your host, Mr. Andersin, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future about the creative process.